Fox Music House has been a household name in the Charleston community for decades. Today, I talk one-on-one with the Vice President of Fox Music, Joseph Fox, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Joseph Fox, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I appreciate it greatly. You are the Vice President of the iconic Fox Music Store here in North Charleston.
Yeah.
Who is Joseph Fox these days?
I'm Joseph Fox, and yeah, I've been working at Fox Music the past dozen years. I've really been working my whole life, but kind of full-time, getting paid for the last 12 years. And that's a consuming gig. You know, we have a big musical community that we're dedicated to in Charleston, so this takes up a lot of my time. And when I'm not here, my two daughters take up the majority of my time. So I would say I'm a father first, and then Fox Music second, and they're close for time. Close with me, yeah.
And of course, this is family.
Yep, yeah. So great-grandfather started it. My dad, although he's mostly retired, congratulations to him. Still comes in, holds court, hangs out, a couple times a week. And the legacy is fun for us, and it translates to our customers. I was in Walterboro yesterday.
Yeah.
And helping a customer with their clavinova, their church, and got a new one, got in the 21st century. And her grandmother remembers coming to Fox Music downtown.
Yes.
Her mother took her to get her violin at the Montague store 25 years ago. And she came in here to get a clavinova for her church, and now she plays for her church all those years later. Yeah. We played the name game, play Charleston geography, right? Who you know, what you know.
Exactly.
It's like 20 minutes about a piano and 2 hours talking about the rest, right? Yeah. So it's fun. That's what we live for, right?
Yes.
And in that vein, too, she's got, folks that have studied under her that will, the same thing, hopefully will happen, God willing, they'll be in their church and they'll build up a music program, and hopefully they come back and buy instruments from us so we can continue to do what we do.
Yes.
They also have built up a church community in Greater South Carolina, Walterboro, and St. George, Orangeburg. We cover most of the states. So I get into all the Allentown. I go into all the little places.
Oh yeah, Egg and all that stuff.
Yeah, all over the place.
Man, amazing.
Strawberry, South Carolina.
I've
been there before.
Wow.
Yeah, that's as like on the border as you can get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that legacy, what has sustained it?
So part of it, we have fun. Yeah, working in a music store is not. It's not your run-of-the-mill stuff. The instruments that we have and the stories that come behind it, each one's very different. Mm-hmm. So it's like a whole new life every time we get a piano and unbox it and tune it. They're its own instrument. You kind of explore. You kind of have to meet that, shake hands with that instrument individually. And the musicians are characters.
Mm-hmm.
They're just they all play a different style.
Yes.
I challenge folks to say, you don't have to be a concert pianist, but I want you to be able to listen so well that you can tell who's playing that instrument. And if they can, one, the musician's done their job because they have their own sound.
Yes.
They know their instrument better than anybody else is kind of the goal for the musician, but then the audience has listened critically enough to be good people.
Good people.
Right? If you can sit down, if you can calm your body, if you can be in tune with what's happening right there in front of you in this scenario, this stage, or any stage in Charleston, you're going to be a better dad, you're going to be a better employee, you're going to be a better friend. You can listen. It's the core competencies for what we try to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's part of the reason it's fun.
What instrument describes you?
Oh, man, it's a tough one. Probably a Hammond organ. It's the instrument I love the most.
Yeah.
It's the instrument I play the least. It's hard to play. Also, it's because I hang out with some heavyweight organists. Charleston has produced phenomenal organists across the spectrum. Right. So I get to see them come in here. A lot of them come to practice on Sundays or on Saturdays for Sunday. But yeah, that kind of percussive. Each instrument's a little different. Each instrument's a little bit old. Yeah. Each instrument's really durable. I showed you some of the ones we'd rebuilt that we had sold 50 years ago. We rebuilt them, and now they'll last 50 more years without needing much service.
Wow.
You think about all the stories they have.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so a Hammond and a Leslie. You got to pair them together, not a Hammond and a regular speaker, but has to have a Leslie with it. Yeah.
What story actually matches this legacy of this business?
Oh, that's a tough one. There isn't just one. There isn't just one. I feel like we mirror Charleston to some degree. That but the folks that have been in Charleston for a long time know that Fox Music has been around, and some of the new folks haven't seen it yet. But as they get into this community and as they listen to the waves and the water, as they get the rhythm of what it's like to live in Charleston, and a little bit of that's some of the traffic, but it's also you're on 526 and you can see the marsh right there. You know, it's not. It is good and bad. Right? And as they get into that, they realize there's a rhythm to our life, and we have hopefully pushed that rhythm along. You know, hopefully we're able to pull Spoleto off for 40 years almost now, which is remarkable. Charleston's not a big, giant place, and we have the largest performing arts festival in the world housed here. You know, they take dozens of our instruments and place them all around Charleston, and then use instruments that are already there as well that we service, and a lot of those we have sold or donated. It's not just one story. Everyone has their own. Some of that isn't great too, right? We have a quick division in the way that our music is taught and the way that our music is consumed here. We have a lot of folks that they don't go outside of their church community to meet other musicians, right? And, my goal has always been here is to build that bridge, right? Is to have musicians play. In our old store, we used to have these little rooms that you could practice in, and we haven't got away with that. We still have 9 practice rooms that you can come in anytime. But for the most part, we're very open. We want you to share and play with a kid. We want someone to jump on the organ bench with you, jump on the piano bench with you, or come see one of our technicians, see how they tune the piano, take it all the way apart. We want to be, I guess, as open as you can so that you can learn as much. And then the hope is that it'll drive enough passion that, 1, we can stay in business forever, and 2, you can become a great person. You can become a great musician if you want to be. You can become a good listener. That's a core. Anyways, we've done it. I mean, I feel like we're pretty effective. You know, in 94 years we've been doing it. Right?
Okay, so what's the biggest difference from 94 years ago to right now when you think of music?
Oh, wow. Well, music for us 94 years ago, my great-grandfather came to this country with a violin, not able to speak English. And so for him, music was the way he learned English. He found out that musicians, and specifically church musicians, he was a religious Jew, and so on Sundays it was a free gig for him to be able to go to a church and play, and they would take the time to teach him. Other folks, new immigrant, you know, in the 20s, that they were moving too fast. They were busy, you know, roaring 20s. They wouldn't slow down and, you know, wasn't going to school or he's working. And so when he'd play at church, he'd get to hang out with them afterwards and fix their instruments. And so as he learned that skill and mastered English, he got to build an enterprise. It's a long time ago in Charleston, right? So like he would take the ferry over to Mount Pleasant because Mount Pleasant hadn't really been developed yet,
right?
Which is kind of its own story. And now today, I feel like we're the same way, where we go out in the field. Like yesterday, I was in Walterboro. Last week, I was in Columbia, Orangeburg. I stopped by Orangeburg. That was my stopover on the way home. The majority of our company goes out into the field. I think of the 25, all but 3 are in the field most days. So we try to go out and find the places that music is or will be and build it up stronger or keep it that way. And we've seen that with Charleston County and Dorchester County, and we're working diligently with Berkeley County. You know, Dorchester is probably the shining light of our state as far as arts education goes. I mean, wow, look what they've done, and continue to do too. You know, it's not just set and forget it. You know, you have to work really hard to keep kids active and engaged. It's good for their brains. I mean, it's the reason a lot of them go to school. So I don't know if that answers all of that question, but yeah, some things have not changed. We still love getting out in the field, seeing musicians, seeing instruments, taking them apart. He didn't start selling instruments. Otto fixed them. He didn't have the dollars to buy an instrument so that he could resell it. So he had to fix them until he could build up inventory. We don't have that problem anymore. We have 150 pianos. The back end for those that, maybe we'll take some pictures and see. But we're looking at a row of probably 60 grand pianos on the back of our recital hall. Wow. But that's a testament to Charleston. We're not a huge place by any means, you know, mid-tier city. Yet we are able to house a piano store that you'd see in Atlanta or Nashville or not quite New York, but you know, I mean, this is a pretty substantial spot. Yeah. Not to mention we have shows here. That rival any. I mean, our first show was Monty Alexander, the most recorded jazz pianist. I mean, that guy is a living legend. He got to hold my kid. It's like the first show she went to, actually, too. Wow. And you know, there was 100 people here that all are really in tune with him playing and hearing him perform. We've learned to vet some of our classes a little better because his quote was, "Don't worry about that practice and stuff, just play." It's like, what? We got 30 teachers in the audience, but he plays with a heart, and he's a 73-year-old guy that's had 70 albums, right? And he's releasing more as we speak.
Oh my!
That's prolific.
Yes.
I mean, that's dedication to the craft. So kudos to him, and maybe I'll be like that example too.
Yeah. So, what is music now, and what should be music in the next 5 to 10 years?
So it's creativity, the ability to exchange ideas. I have always looked at music as what pushes technology for us. So we sell a lot of keyboards. In fact, a lot of people say the piano has dwindled over the last year, and the reality of those numbers is that we don't sell as many acoustic pianos, but we sell so much more keyboards to get people into music.
Yes.
And keyboards have replaced the small home spinet style, both in cost and in features. That pianos are stronger than they've ever been, and they're more portable. You can carry around a 20-pound keyboard, only costs a couple $100.
Sure.
Makes good sound. But they created a language. This is before a fax machine. Actually, Yamaha technically made the technology to create faxes. It's called MIDI. They turn music, the notes that we play, into numbers and digits so you can send them. And that eventually gave way to the internet, right? And that's kind of a quick cusp of what music was in the 80s, creating MIDI and internet coming on in the 90s. Well, that same thing happened 800 years ago when we had reasons to congregate and we needed architecture. We needed to build a hall that, back then we didn't have amplifiers, that everyone could hear. And so really architecture for purpose got built because we needed to collect people in a space so they could all hear something. And that was music. Without music, they would have fought, or they wouldn't have shown up. They would have had no reason to remember the oration or the service or whatever it was. We needed an opera singer to be able to be heard. And that's why these great opera houses were made 800 years ago. I think, I know, I have a full confidence that music will continue to do that. Do I know how it's going to happen? No. I mean, I hold on for dear life. I'm a business owner. Everything's changing constantly. The last 3 years have been nothing short of wild.
Wow.
We had our largest concert to date, leap year of 2020. So February 29th, Leap Into Music. We had 2 college professors on the stage play their heart out in a duet series. And the world shut down 3 weeks later. And we didn't have a concert for a little over a year, right? I mean, that's a quiet. This is a very big room to scream into when you're alone, right? That was a quiet place. I wasn't used to that. And since then we've changed. Our teachers got really good at doing this, getting onto videos and getting comfortable with it. And they found it to be pretty effective. Now they also double check. We still have recitals. Part of that, and this part caught me at first when I went back to my first show, I was at the Poorhouse, was the adrenaline anticipation before they come on set. Like that little quiet, like the 30 seconds when they're all like, you're cheering and they get to their instruments and they're kind of getting all oriented and kind of tuning up and all that. That little you miss it. You didn't even know. You thought it was because the shows and you'd sing it in the class, like the audience experience. That little bit of adrenaline, anxiety right before it starts is what grasps me. I mean, that's the reason why we do shows. That's the reason why I'm here. Whether it goes perfect or not, that's feelings always there, and the humans won't. I mean, they'll always yearn and crave for that. I have full confidence, and I'm looking forward to see how that goes.
What else are you craving for when it comes to music?
So I'm a jazz fanatic. I love jazz music, and kudos to our jazz scene here that has both started. I mean, going back to Jenkins Orphanage, a mile away from this store, and taken on with Ranky Tanky winning multiple Grammys. We have a robust scene here, and my hope I'd like to see is that it gets translated to kids. And talking about Berkeley County, it's where I live. The teachers there, Josh Ards and Ronnie Ward, they're doing it. I mean, they're bringing in clinicians and artists and doing musical pen pals. And the kids are responding. This is, a lot of people thought jazz was going to kind of go by the wayside, and you have folks like Robert Glasper that's releasing albums that are hitting top 10 at a time where albums don't get made anymore. That people kind of say you're sort of past that. And they are. They're doing it. They're doing it left to right. And Charleston's this beautiful place where we have 3 jazz festivals here. right? I mean, Low Country Jazz Fest. You got International Jazz Fest coming up.
Right.
And they're happening. And we have a full-time jazz lounge now, Forte, probably the best we've ever had, right? I mean, Joe Clark's doing it.
Yes.
He's living his own dream, right? I mean, just going there to see him is kind of special,
Yes.
right? Like, he's having so much fun owning that business and making music and bringing. I mean, we had Connie Hahn play here. She never would have come to Charleston if it wasn't for Joe.
Huh.
Right? She's top talent,
Yes.
you know? And she hung out with here maybe 30 students. I mean, it was almost one-on-one. She sat on the front of the stage and, like, answered questions with them.
Right.
Like, wow, that was great. And there's a good community there, too, right? The Hill drummer plays a very bizarre drum set that here in the Southeast we don't see a lot of. We don't represent. In LA, they're everywhere.
Yes.
And we kind of put the note out to the drummers in town. It's like, hey, anybody have a cannabis set? And sure enough, they showed up and they're like, not only that, but I know Bill and I want to hang out with him and see him play as well.
Right.
You know, it's a cool community for us to pull off. And yeah, I think we'll do more of that. I think that as big as Charleston's going to get, we're going to grow. We can't stop that growth. I mean, Johns Island will continue to get built out. Dorchester County is being built, and Berkeley County will be massive. Berkeley County will be a huge population center. We'll continue to have music as a connection for us. You know, the Hanahan Amphitheater will become the halfway point, right? Nexton will kind of have its own musical community, and they'll have a venue up there that can spotlight. Summer's Corner, where the Somerville Symphony plays, is a great room. It took them a long time to build that place, but we have these little pockets. And my hope, I don't know how I can push this more than I already do, is that they'll all get together. You know, we have 3 symphonies in this small place, and the Charleston Symphony is top notch. I mean, they rival much larger cities in the repertoire they're doing, and the model they've set now, where they have guest conductors, multiple conductors, kind of celebrity conductors, and that's a cool thought. I mean, it's crazy at first, right? Because you have to get used to a new conductor every time, but every show is a celebrity. Every time you go see the symphony, it's the one time that you'll get to see that ace play or perform. And then North Charleston Pops has their show this weekend. Somerville Symphony sells out now 2 shows most of the times.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
It really is.
You know, that's great.
Yes.
3 years out of the pandemic, and classical music in a huge format is sold out. That's great. And we now have 2 opera companies that are performing multiple shows. And we're talking, I mean, they do small shows too, but doing big shows every year. Wow.
Yes.
What a thumbprint.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing for both. It's a tourist destination.
Yes.
Spoleto will always be there, right?
Yes.
It's the heart of kind of our exhaustive art. I will say there's a hangover after Spoleto, right? Like, at the end of June, you're tired. You don't want to go see a show for a while. But we get to pull out the rest of the year. When you get back into the school year from August until March, we're pulling out great shows that are fun and community-oriented.
Yes.
We have good theater. There's a theater on James Island. There's a theater in West Ashley.
Right.
There's 5 of them downtown.
Right.
Mount Pleasant now has Wanda, which is its own thing. Somerville is Flower Town.
Yes.
Those guys sell out every single show before they're even listed.
Yes.
They're doing great work.
Great work.
Yeah, I mean, I say keep it up, right? We don't need new Coke, right? Like, we don't need new Charleston. We're doing it.
Doing it.
Hopefully, music can connect us, though. You know, that's my goal.
You talk about Somerville. You talk about Hanahan. You talk about West Ashley, Johns Island, Mount Pleasant. How does Fox Music keep up with Charleston's growth?
It is a challenge. Traffic is a battle. We deliver 8 to 10 pianos a day, so our crew are on the roads a lot, and we battle getting over the Ashley Frustrate and getting through Main Road on Johns Island.
Oh, yes.
It's no joke, but we also represent the community.
Yes.
I mean, there's somebody in our company from each part of those areas.
Yes.
They sometimes play for their church, if not run sound for their church, if not volunteer heavily in their community. And so my thought and feeling is that as Charleston grows, so will we. Right? We're not gonna be back to what we were when we were a full line store. I'm never gonna compete with the Sweetwaters of the world. We're too hands-on to do that, to go back to that model. But as pockets of growth grow out to Monk's Corner and Goose Creek, then more Fox Music family members will be from those areas. I mean, 3 of our tenured employees are from James Island, right? So we got James Island covered.
Yes.
Right, they're there.
Yes.
Same thing Mount Pleasant,
Yes.
right? You got Mount Pleasant covered.
Oh, yes.
I don't have Allendale covered, right? Not yet, right? But interviewing in Haddon, and I think that motif will continue to stand.
Wow.
And we'll have fun doing it. I mean, there's some growing pains for every business. We we moved to Dorchester Road. I mean, that in of itself is kind of a risk and a trial, I would say. But at that same time, the 4 years we've been here, we've had 10 other businesses move to this area, and some pretty beautiful stewards of the community. I mean, Southern Lumber is a legacy brand, and they're right across the street. Right. I mean, they're doing great. They're busy. Those guys from 7 to 11 every morning, they're running trucks out of there. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. Wow. And they know mahogany really well. So that's right. It's kind of cool. They have wood and we have wood too. Yeah.
So what are those other growing pains you see, Mr. Fox?
So they're in any small business. You got to pivot a good amount. The event season wrecked us. Not having events, having things canceled, especially a big marquee show like Savannah Music Festival, and then right behind it, I mean, days after that canceled, having Spotto contract loss. Those are big hits to us. We have a lot of people don't know this, but we have a sister company, Fox Audio Video Rentals. They were stuttered for most of a year, rebranded beautifully, and now they do, every time you see movies in the park, that's what those guys are doing. In addition to now, they're full-time back to big scale events, and those are events that are at corporate places, all the way down from a tailgate, all the way up to steeplechase. The events and the live streams they do. A lot of people don't know this, but a lot of times when a big news outlet comes to town, they have to use a local feed. They can't get the cameras and equipment in enough. So for like Clemente Pinckney, for the funeral, that was actually a Fox Music camera and audio gear that was broadcast throughout the world. And in that same vein, the head of our Hammond department, Charles Miller, played for that funeral as well. So when the president was here, we had Fox Music represented a lot behind the scenes. Right, you won't always see our logo, but you'll hear us, and if you know what to listen for, we'll be there. I don't know. I feel confident in music. People will turn to it in the worst of times and the best of times. So we're not inflation-proof. We definitely got hit with not being able to get a piano. You got to put a piano in a box. You got to get it across seas. You got to get it shipped. Right. I was frustrated. We delivered a piano the guy's been waiting for 2 years today. He ordered it August of 21. Wow. Waited patiently. Right. We're lucky that we have enough facilities that we can help those musicians out. In the meantime, he has daughters taking lessons. So that's the exception to the rule. Most of them do not wait that long. But this scenario, it was a specialty piano that took a long time to get in. Those were hard storms to weather. We've changed the way we do things. We have a lot more pianos in stock than we've ever had. We have better technicians than we've ever had. We have a Columbia store as well. So we actually have 2 locations. Which is fun to babysit, fun to be a part of. Columbia's got a growing scene too. It does. Way more. I mean, I graduated from Carolina. I'm a Gamecock, so back then Columbia didn't have it going on. I mean, it was a boring capital city, and now they do First Thursdays, and they have a big theater program. They have their own vocal department that rivals anything in the state. So it's good. It's good news all the way around musically.
Oh yes. Yeah. So how do you exchange ideas with all of this?
Oh man, you gotta ask that in a more specific way. That's a big question. That's a big one. That's a big one. Part of it's holding on for your life, right? Part of it really is the daily grind of just holding on and making it happen. And the other part, I find maybe not every day, but every week, I get a good story from a customer. And most times I don't have to ask for it. For those of y'all that have been in Charleston and been out and seen Oscar Rivers play, he still comes by for music. I could tell a million stories about it. Oscar has told me he was actually in that NBC spot with us because he plays at Morris Brown. And we videoed down there in front of their concert grand. And he remembered being on the news in his 20s. He remembered the interview. Man, what a character.
Guess what? He was my music teacher at Sanders School.
Wow.
Back in the 90s.
Wow. So he went back there as a Spanish teacher. I went to Sanders Clyde a couple years ago before the pandemic, and I saw Oscar Rivers coming out with full-on sombrero mariachi, like full tilt, right? I mean, he's a saxophone and piano player, and he's out here with like a ukulele playing in the hallway. And I was like, they pull you out of retirement? That's so cool. He's like, oh no, I'm just filling in for the Spanish teacher. My friend called me. I just teach Spanish to the kids. No worries. I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, they give me a piano in my room, but I'm teaching Spanish today. I was like, man, Oscar, you never cease to amaze. Yeah, he lived in Mexico for years and Chicago. He played with the big bands. There's folks in town that are phenomenal saxophone players
Yes.
that won't play around him saxophone. I mean, he's a great sax player.
Wow.
People think piano's first.
Right.
No, piano's like third for him, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. But just a good guy.
Yeah.
Man. Just a legend. A
Yes.
legend among
Oh,
them.
yes.
But those stories keep me going. I don't know if I've got the special sauce on how to get the rest of the Fox Music family involved in that.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's infectious enough to
Right.
be with me and we'll get them trained.
Yeah.
If not, y'all will. I mean, the Charleston community will tell us what they need. We'll respond as quick as we can, and we'll make them happy. We'll make them happy with music over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I wish I found the recipe to get people to stay in music. I think that's always been the battle of teachers and music stores and kind of the lesson community.
Yes, sir.
And the thing that I tell folks, I've never ever had a customer of the millions of folks that we've seen say, I'm glad I didn't do that piano stuff. I'm glad I stopped. Everyone says, I'm so sorry my mom let me quit, or I'm so sorry I stopped, or it wasn't fun, it wasn't cool. But, they all had the same similar kind of, I'll get back into it. And the pandemic, a lot of folks did.
Oh, yes.
To some of their neighbors' chagrin, right? Some of their neighbors are short walls, and everyone was stuck at home. You got someone playing drums, and some of those folks have stayed with it. Now they've rekindled, hopefully, a lifelong passion. Took piano lessons for a couple of years as a kid. Found out I like it, but I didn't have time for it, and I have time in the pandemic. And now it's therapy. It's finger therapy. That's the hardest thing you do all day. I mean, sitting in traffic, that's boring and easy and frustrating.
Yes.
Get off that traffic line when you get home. Throw some headphones on and play your piano for 20 minutes, and you'll sleep better. I mean, it exhausts your brain. I mean, trying to think about playing both hands, especially when they have to play, opposing motion, that's hard work. That's hard work. I mean, mental dexterity is hard work. And it's goal setting, determination.
Yes.
And then there's also just a little bit of you're kind of in your private world. I got kids, so they always want to play with me.
Right.
We have 2 sets of headphones, right? We unplug, we play loud. They beat on it. Every kid wants to explore an instrument.
Yes.
Get them a set of drums.
Right.
Drums are the first instrument that anybody plays. Yeah, absolutely. And then for folks that are in Charleston County and starting in Dorchester, they'll play recorder. Recorders are great. Well, they're affordable.
Right.
But it's also the first instrument that humans made pitched. Right, so we had the voice is really the first instrument. Sorry, God gave us all a voice.
Yes.
But we made drums. Drums were great because we could transmit them over long distances. Right, so we could communicate talking drums.
Yes.
And then 10,000 years ago, we found out if you take a piece of bone, bones are great organic substance, resonates very well, and we can make a perfect fourth and fifth. And we're talking 10,000 years ago. There are flutes that are designed with perfect fourths and fifths. That has not changed.
No.
Then the human mind, the human ear, as life goes on, we have not changed 10,000 years. We still have the fundamental perfect fourth and fifth. That's remarkable. I mean, that gives me chills just thinking about how someone stumbled upon it by accident. Someone tuned that into their inside. Something told them to make a perfect fit. Right? And we still see it today with the recorder. It really hasn't changed that much, actually.
No. So when you put your headphones on, what are you listening to today?
Oh, that's a great question. So it does change. I listen to a huge variety of music. Really excited to see the jazz orchestra this weekend.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to a decent amount of jazz. I'm really excited to see Abdullah Ibrahim.
Oh, yeah.
African superstar of jazz pianists. Puts my kids to sleep the last couple nights. So been really diving into that. And then some of the newer stuff, I do listen to a lot of Robert Glasper. I like that jam a lot. Always exploring new music. Pull up my Spotify, see who's on. Right. Monty Alexander's been a favorite of the kids too, because he's got a couple albums of like Beatles tunes and Bob Marley tunes that they love. And then we listen to a bunch of seasonal Jewish music because whatever festival's coming up next. So Passover is coming up next, so we're getting the kids geared up for all the songs. It's hard to remember Hebrew, so we got to sing it to them first. Right, and so they love that. That's like my commute every morning. I sit in a lot of traffic to get them to school and back, but I get to sing with them the whole way. So it's like it's kind of its own fun thing. Yeah, but yeah, and whatever's playing here, I will say we have a show. I think in May we have 6 shows, ticketed shows, in addition to the free recitals. We have a lot of student recitals, here as well. Some of, they're great. And some of those kids are applying for colleges at this point, which is its own fun story.
Yes.
To know to have seen them come in 6 or 7 years, and then like now they're applying to Curtis or Peabody
Boston
or Julia.
College.
Yeah, Berkeley. I mean, and they come back and they're like, now they've played with people in the world. Like they may be the best in Charleston, and they go to Berkeley.
Yes.
It's cool to see both the humble spirit and the hard work they put in immediately. As soon as they put in that excellent atmosphere,
Yes, sir.
they go to work. They go to work, and big kudos to the kids that are doing that. It's not conservatory is not an easy life.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean it's an athletic life. Like that is not an easy life to be that dedicated. So,
Exactly.
good for them and good for the parents for supporting it.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So let me reset and ask the obvious question. What's new? What's now with Fox Music?
Yeah, so we are constantly upgrading our recital hall. This place, I encourage everyone to come see a show. This is the newest, oldest venue in town. So this Sunday, we have Ann Caldwell.
Yes.
Yeah, and well, I'm so excited. Like, and Ann, I mean, she's been everywhere at all the Fox Music things. I feel like Ann's been around.
Yeah.
She's performed here already a few times. This will be her first Ann show.
Huh.
So there's a few tickets left. There might be a few tickets left, I should say. That one's pretty close to sold out. We get into North Charleston Arts Fest. We're an anchor venue for the Arts Fest. That one's kind of fun because I think we have the most diverse music we've ever had. We have harpsichordists coming in to play classical music, and specifically Baroque style music on Baroque instruments. Most instruments they play are going to be 300 years old,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. John Holinko, our guitar teacher, is very well regarded in that vein. Then his group is going to play the next day. They're playing a Celtic set, which we're really excited about that. And then we have gospel set as well. And then we're doing Motown again. We're bringing Motown back. And now that we have the bigger stage,
Yes.
the full lights, I'm excited. It was great last year too, but now that we've done even more upgrades, it'll be louder and prouder. Yeah, it was fun last year. This year's going to be even better.
Better.
Yeah.
So who is your audience?
Well, my hope is that they would come to one, if not all of those shows, right? I mean, especially for the kid. I think about it this way. Like, how do you describe this? There are students out there that may never play a piano ever. Music is only played by 7% of the population. And so I have everything I do in the background of my mind is to get that 7% to 14%. Everything that I'm doing, or to get that 7% back in for the folks that hadn't played in a while, to get them to pull it out, play it again, you know? And so in my mind, if a kid has never played piano or never seen a piano, get them to experience it. I mean, I've never held an instrument that's 300 years old, right? I mean, I've played pianos that are 150 years old, and on a daily basis for that matter. But how cool would it be if you're, a 10-year-old kid and you get to see a lute that King Louis could have played? You know what I mean? How cool is that? And so my hope is, and I feel I've seen it enough times that they'll get inspired.
Yes.
They will, take that number a little bit higher. We'll get to 10% people play music, or we'll get to everybody has some experience with music that they remember fondly, right? And I think that'll make our churches stronger. I think that'll make our community stronger. That's my hope. And then the other part too is some of the more bizarre music. Jazz, as popular as we feel that it is here in a community that supports us so well, we get a tiny listenership. I mean, if you only classical music's the same way. 2.5% of the population listens to classical music on a regular basis. If you double that, and 5% of people listen to classical music, think about how much better their mood would be.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, my kids sleep better if we listen to quiet classical music.
Yes.
Debussy's Water music.
Right.
If we put that on, they sleep better. It's just innate in humanity, right? They sleep better. So we listen to it, I would say once a week, right? If it's a late night, then we put it on and they go right down. That's not something that I have to do. I'm a music store, right? I need to sell some instruments so that we can survive and function. I need to tune instruments. I need to move them. But we've been here so long that I can look at it as I also need to make 10,000 music makers every time, right? So I need to work on that for 10 years so that in the 10th year we have 1,000 people that will become customers. And I asked Charleston to be loyal, right? I mean, there are places you can get instruments that are not us, and some of them get to them quicker. Nobody can get to them as good as we can. And we're warranty centers, right? We back it up. We give you trade-ups. We have financing options. We can do almost all the things the big guys can. We might not be quite as quick. Right? I mean, someone from Amazon can get you 2-day shipping. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I ask that you either be a little patient and be a little loyal with us so that we can keep doing it. We are the only piano store within 100 miles. So if this rare breed leaves, there would not be there won't be a replacement. it's one of the odd realities that we face, and we strive to do very well, and so far we have. So I appreciate Charleston. And I say that to every customer that comes in, even if they don't buy. So sometimes we don't have the weird synthesizer they need, and I get that. But thank you for giving us the opportunity. We earn it. We're glad to do it.
Yes.
And also, we can't help you. We have music stores that are close by.
Yeah.
Mike Davis at Yield. He's got a great show coming up at Hanahan, by the way. Great show. He does like Allman Brothers cover band.
Yeah.
And they're fun, man. They play full tilt. 2 drummers, Hammond organ. Like, it's a big band. It's a big experience. But between Mike and I mean, we have access to all the vendors that most musicians would ever need. We can repair them. We can fix them. We can get them to you. We offer really good trade-up programs. Yes, you can start with the $500 kind of portable, lightweight one, and you can get to a concert grand, which we've sold. Multiples. We're one of the few places, even including a New York or a Nashville or an LA, right? Like we have 4 concert grands at any given time, and we're in Charleston.
Yeah.
Right. At any given, like right now, there's 3 set up on the floor because one's out on rental. Yeah. So, and we're glad to provide those for your events too. If you have a big event that you want a super nice piano for, come audition one, choose it, and we'll put it on stage for you.
Man, nice. I went to Nashville for the first time in July last year.
It's overload. First time you go?
Went back in December. Went back 3 weeks ago.
Oh, you're in it. Wow.
I love that city.
Oh, yeah. Nashville's big.
Yeah.
Nashville's big. There's so much music there.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so much country music there, but there's also a ton of gospel music there.
Right.
You can walk down the street.
Yes.
Bands and bars everywhere.
Yeah.
A little bit too much of a party town for me.
Yes.
I'm kind of glad that Charleston graduated from some of the party town atmosphere. They're not as much like Nashville anymore. But man, nice river there too. So.
And the museums. Oh.
Yeah, they do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it well. I like that.
Yeah, man.
It's a little bit of a long ride.
Yes.
Yeah, and you change the date line too. You cross over, so you like add an extra hour or extra less of sleep once you get there. Yeah,
It's crazy.
we'll have to go to Nashville sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got the restaurant there too, so I'm always back there.
Yeah.
Whatever customer needs and wants today.
So we have found that our customers fall into 3 categories. So homes is what we spend the most amount of time on, and what you see us doing the most. Religious institutions, churches usually for us, and then schools.
Yes.
I will say the pandemic has still hurt schools. Right? They initially got a lot of very good funding, but because they got so scared to do anything, they haven't invested in a lot of their instruments. And so we're starting to see some of that change finally after 3 years, but they're usually a third of our business. We got to have them. Music has to be taught in schools very well, very high caliber, good quality instruments, good quality instructors, so that they can appreciate it at home, and so they can perform it at church. And our hope is that would be a third of our business overall, those 3 segments. In the pandemic, it switched all of those around. Nobody was going to church for a little while because they were scared. Right? A bunch of people were at home, so that skyrocketed. Schools kind of shut down, came back, shut down again. So we navigated a lot of that with them. I sold more cameras and iPhone video recorders than I ever have. A lot of people know this, but not sure if they realize that we do a lot of church audio, video, and lighting systems. So the reason why we have this recital hall is to demonstrate that stuff, so you can see it in action.
Yeah.
Most of the churches that you've been to, we've worked on their audio system.
St. Michael's, St. Philip's.
You name it, right?
Oh, God.
We do about 30 of those a year. And we used to do 30 audio systems, 10 video, and 5 lighting, and now that number is gone up significantly. So most of our churches have a video system.
Yes.
Some of them have a lighting system, or they will eventually get one.
Yeah.
That's part of the worship service these days, to be able to record. It used to be more for the events, for weddings, for funerals, for the time when you needed the memory, and now it's ubiquitous. Churches are recording. They need to get out in the field as much as they can, and music is a big component of that because you can only listen to the sermon once.
Yes.
Right? You can listen to the songs as many times as you want, right? I mean, Monday through Saturday, you can listen to the same songs over and over again and get that feeling. The sermon's going to only be with you on Sunday. The word's going to be there. So we opened this place up at the early part of the pandemic to do what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Actually, to record sermons for pastors that either we couldn't get them video systems because supply chain issues.
Yeah.
We sold out as soon as it started, or they weren't there yet. Their tech department hadn't got to the point where we set this up in 30 minutes.
Yes.
It's good picture, good lighting.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't quite there yet, so we recorded every Wednesday. Pastors come in, record their 25-minute speech. Yeah, and we're open to still do that. Most of them now, at this point, we've caught up We've got most of the cameras in the field. Yeah, we've trained a bunch of folks. I would encourage kids, if you're a non-performing major, if you're not going to play the instrument, then find a way to get into music and support the musicians. And that can be an audience member. I mean, we need people to clap and need people to listen.
Yes.
That also could be the person behind the camera. That could be the person that's running the audio, the person that's running the lighting cues. Those are fun. Those are stressful. Those are their own beautiful, difficult thing to master. So,
what do you want to master next?
I'm a dad of a 4 and a 3-year-old. That is a constant thing. I want to master patience. I want to master patience. Yeah, that's always my goal. The girls are going to be big enough now. We have a garden in the backyard, so they're helping with that. I don't know if I'll ever be a master gardener, but we like it. That's probably my springtime task.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to be able to play the Hammond organ better. It's a challenge.
Wow.
Both hands, 2 keyboards, feet. The feet is actually the real challenge. I can do the top part.
Yeah.
I can figure that part. It's piano enough. My feet don't pay attention. You have to set a mirror up. So I can see
I would imagine.
I'd love to be able to play more. At the beginning of the pandemic, I took home a Hammond, a keyboard and pedals, so I could try to practice.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get any better at it.
Ooh.
I tried hard too. I put my 20 minutes in a day, and my feet are I'm flat-footed when it comes to organ pedals. But yeah, no, that's like a yearly goal. Play more Hammond organ. I love them. I'm not our main tech. We have 2 other specific Hammond organ techs, and I still find myself taking them apart for fun. Just because they're built like clocks.
Yes.
They're mechanisms and they gorgeous sound, and I want to know how and why. Even though I've taken dozens apart at this point and putting 4 or 5 back together successfully, I'm not as good of a tech as they are, clearly. But I love them. They're great instruments. Yeah.
In 20 seconds, Joseph, what does Fox Music want to master next in the business?
Yeah. Okay. That's a big question for us. A little bit of it is, we like Fox Music as a brand the way it is. We want to keep it as strong as we can, get as many people into music as we can. We have a Columbia store that we want to see grow, that can grow, that will grow.
Yes.
We would like to develop a few more folks on our team as well. So we've hired new folks at the counter and new folks in moves. We could use another piano technician if anybody wants a great, fun job taking more pianos. A lot of it is staying the course of keeping Charleston as musical as possible, to a high caliber.
Yes.
And then having as much fun. I feel like we've gotten to do that now that the world's opened back up more.
Thank God.
It's not as much fun in the pandemic, partially because it was busy and stressful.
Yes.
But also, we didn't get the rewards, right? We didn't get to go see the music.
Right.
We didn't get to see the final product.
Right.
We just got to do the hard work.
Yeah.
We didn't get the fun. This weekend alone, there's 4 shows. I think we have pianos out at Music Hall, at Dock Street. Gilliard has a show. We didn't provide the piano, but Gilliard has a show. North Charleston Pops has a show at the back. There's a mariachi band that sold out in 40 minutes.
What?
Yeah. I didn't know mariachi was that big here.
Right.
We sell accordions, and we do sell some of the mariachi instruments, but mariachi's big here. Yeah. I sold out in 40, and $100 tickets, too. Right? They went quick.
That's good.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's a whole side of music that I've just barely scratched the surface of. Right? Yeah, and Easter season's here, get ready to wear purple.
Oh, yes.
We'll have Project Love will have their festival outside. That's a good one to attend.
Yes.
And then McDonald's, or the choir showcase. So,
I just ran into Gerald Footman earlier this week.
Yeah,
See?
great promoter.
Yes.
That's a good legacy, too. His dad did business with my grandfather. He's done business with my dad and I. Yeah, both for his church and for the showcase.
Yeah.
It's a big event. Bringing in someone like Ty Tribbett.
Yes.
Bringing in CeCe Wyatt.
Right.
Bringing in the Clark sisters.
Yes.
Talking about organists. That's cool.
Cool.
And we get to have those instruments here after they're done, right? We put them on stage for those folks to play.
Yes.
Man, it's great.
Amazing.
It's great.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah, it was, but we got to do it again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And you come on Sunday?
I'm going to do my best. I got to move and the house, so the new house.
We get called for a lot of moving needs.
Yes, that's right. But I'm going to come back and watch one of those shows.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah. Well, Joseph Fox with Fox Music, thank you for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Full Thoughts.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Likewise.